Welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk. I'm your host, Ed Shopes, bringing you news and in-depth interviews about auditions and performances of plays and musicals at theaters throughout the Mid-Willamette Valley. You know, Labor Day may just be a barbecue fever dream highlighted with cold brews, but summer isn't over quite yet. On today's show, we're going to cover two events that happened this weekend in our interviews. A Midsummer Night's Dream by Struts Frets Theatre Company playing tonight and Saturday afternoon at the Riverview Park in Independence, and auditions for Evil Dead the Musical happening on Saturday afternoon at the historic Grand Theater in downtown Salem. But first, let's check the KMUZ Theater Talk calendar for news about auditions and shows happening at your favorite Mid-Willamette Valley theaters. At Gallery Theater in downtown McMinnville, the musical Xanadu continues on the Gallery main stage through September 21st. Xanadu tells the story of Kira, a beautiful Greek muse who descends from Mount Olympus to 1980's Venice Beach, where she helps Sonny, a struggling artist, to create his ultimate dream, the first roller disco. But when Kira falls for Sonny, her jealous sisters interfere, creating a whirlwind of chaos and laughter. Get your tickets for this popular musical before it sells out. You can learn more about Xanadu from director Marla Nutman and lead actors Paige Spellman and Remington Keogh on the KMUZ Theater Talk podcast. And on the Gallery Theater call board, auditions for the Best Christmas Pageant Ever are happening September 22nd and 23rd at 6:30 p.m. at the Gallery Theater, with callbacks on September 25th. The call is for 4 men, 6 women, 8 boys, 9 girls, and a chorus of young girl angels. Actors should come prepared to sing a Christmas carol of their choice a cappella and to read scenes from the script. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever is directed by Debbie Harmon Ferry and will be on stage November 21st through December 14th at Gallery Theater. For information and tickets for Xanadu and to sign up for auditions, go to gallerytheater.org. For the greater Salem area theaters, at Bridgetown Conservatory in Salem, registration is open for the fall term of college prep classes running September 13th through November 1st at Bridgetown's Portland location. These college prep classes aim to give high school students the tools, knowledge, and repertoire they need to successfully get accepted at top-tier musical theater programs. Students have had a remarkable 100% acceptance rate for the past 3 years running after attending Bridgetown's college prep classes. Go to bridgetownconservatory.org and Facebook for info about the Triple Threat and college prep classes and for links and tickets to Bridgetown performances. At Center Stage Theatrics in Salem, Salem Cinema will hold a real challenge for our community special screening of The Princess Bride on October 26th to benefit Center Stage Theatrics. This fundraiser event will also feature a silent auction and costume contest. For more information, go to centerstagetheatrics.org, salemcinema.com, and their Facebook pages. At Kaiser Homegrown Theater, The Lion in Winter by James Goldman and directed by Linda Baker will close Kaiser Homegrown's 2025 season November 1st through 16th. Comedic in tone, dramatic in action, The Lion in Winter follows the Plantagenet family who are locked in a free-for-all of competing ambitions set against the backdrop of a medieval Christmas. As the oft-imprisoned Queen Eleanor says, every family has its ups and downs, and this bunch of royals is certainly no exception. For show information and tickets, go to kaiserhomegrowntheater.org and their Facebook page. At Pentacle Theater in Salem, the popular large-cast musical Hairspray quickly sold out at Pentacle Theater through September 6th, but there's always a wait list for no-show tickets at the door for each performance. Set in 1960s Baltimore, this Tony-winning family-friendly show is a real treat. Check out the KMUZ Theater Talk podcast to learn more about Hairspray from director Robert Sahlberg and actors Paige Caballero and Jessica Peterson. It's a fun interview and available wherever you listen to podcasts. A comedy of tenors will come to the Pentacle Theater stage October 3rd through 25th. This madcap farce by Ken Ludwig and set in Paris centers on one hotel suite, 4 tenors, 2 wives, 3 girlfriends, and a soccer stadium filled with screaming fans. Now, what could possibly go wrong? It's directed by Jennifer Jimszewski. The final show of Pentacle's 2025 season is In-Laws, Outlaws, and Other People That Should Be Shot, and it runs November 21st through December 13th. This crazy holiday comedy is written by Steve Franco and directed by Karen McCarty. And Pentacle Theater recently announced its 2026 season, and season tickets are now available. The classic comedy You Can't Take It With You runs January 30th through February 21st. Actors, mark your calendar for auditions coming up on November 8th. A Shakespeare mashup, Something Rotten, plays March 20th through April 11th. An elder set comedy, The Lost Virginity Tour, runs May 8th through 30th. The Neil Simon farce Rumors takes the stage June 26th through July 18th. The high-energy musical Catch Me If You Can will run August 14th through September 5th. The classic psychological thriller Angel Street, also known as Gaslight, plays October 2nd through 24th, 2026. And closing Pentacle's 2026 season will be Charles Dickens Writes a Christmas Carol, playing November 20th through December 12th. See the PentacleTheater.org website and Facebook page for show information and tickets, and to purchase 2026 season tickets. For Struts and Frets Theatre Company, there are only 2 more chances to see Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Riverview Park Amphitheater in downtown Independence. It's on stage tonight, September 5th at 6:30 p.m., and tomorrow, Saturday, September 6th at 4 p.m. This classic comedy is beloved by all ages and features a cast of experienced Shakespearean actors and talented youth ensemble performers. So don't miss this free show. Stay with us to hear from director Hannah Fawcett and producer-composer Terry Kitagawa later in today's program about this enchanting, topsy-turvy, and much-loved Shakespeare treat. Wandering Players Theatrical in Salem is a new production company getting its start by bringing back an audience favorite members produced last year. Auditions for a reprise of last fall's Evil Dead the Musical are on the call board for tomorrow afternoon. That's Saturday, September 6th, at the historic Grand Theater and Event Center in downtown Salem. Wandering Players Theatrical Executive Director Jeremy Clubb joins me later in today's program, along with the show's co-director Andy Bean and choreographer and technical director Nathaniel Pierce, to talk about auditions on Saturday for their new, technically improved production that promises to be yet another audience favorite. And they'll fill us in on some fun special events that will happen in Salem before Evil Dead the Musical opens on November 6th. For Stayton and Silverton area theaters, at Brush Creek Playhouse in Silverton, the Enchanted Bookshop, featuring a cast of students age 6 through 15, plays at Brush Creek September 11th through 21st. It's written by Todd Walliger and directed by Jennifer A. Bell. The story is about a plain-looking shop where characters from books magically come alive at night. Brush Creek Playhouse's 50th anniversary weekend and gala event is coming up October 17th through 19th, and we'll fill you in as we learn more. Go to brushcreekplayhouse.com and Facebook for show information and tickets. At Spotlight Community Theater in downtown Stayton, Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, adapted for the stage by Ken Ludwig, runs September 25th through October 5th at Spotlight. That's followed by the winter musical Aladdin Trouble, on stage February 12th through 28th. For show information, audition information, and tickets, see Spotlight's Facebook page and go to spotlightct.com. For the Albany and Corvallis area theaters, on stage at Albany Civic Theater, the first show of ACT's 2025-26 season, Noel Coward's classic comedy Blithe Spirit runs September 19th through October 4th. It's directed by Shauna Keefuke. And it's back. That's right, fake blood fans. The popular cult comedy Evil Dead the Musical brings the Splash Zone back to Albany Civic Theater October 24th through November 8th as a special event show. Check out the September 6th, 2024 KMUZ Theater Talk podcast for an interview with director Joanna Spencer and actors Aunt Ash and James Murray, who reprise their roles this October in Evil Dead the Musical. On the Albany Civic Theater call board, auditions for Neil Simon's classic comedy Barefoot in the Park are 7 p.m. September 22nd through 24th at Albany Civic. It's directed by Becky Roth. For show information and tickets and audition details, go to albanycivic.org and Facebook. At the Majestic Theater in Corvallis, September 26th through October 5th, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald and adapted by Simon Levy will be on stage at the Majestic. Director Laura Blackwell brings the breathtaking glamour and decadent excess of the jazz age to the stage in F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic story. November 7th through 23rd, you can see The Producers, the Broadway hit musical by Mel Brooks, at the theater in downtown Corvallis. For auditions and show information and to buy tickets, go to majestic.org. At the Mid-Valley Colleges and Universities, Corbin University in East Salem is at corbin.edu/theater-arts. And this November, Corbin University Theater Arts will present Around the World in 80 Days, based on the Jules Verne novel and adapted for the stage by Michael Hewlett. It's directed by Tamara McGinnis, and we'll have more details to follow. For show information and tickets, go to the Corbin EDU Theater Arts page or see their Facebook page. And that's a wrap for today's KMUZ Theater Talk calendar for plays and auditions at your favorite theaters. If your Mid-Willamette Valley Theater has a play or audition coming up that's not on our calendar, please send it our way at kmuztheatertalk@gmail.com. Joining me after the break are director Hannah Fawcett and producer-composer Terry Kitagawa from Struts Frets Theatre Company to talk about the outdoor production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, playing this weekend only at Independence Riverview Park Amphitheater. And that's headed your way right after this. You know, public radio stations nationwide are asking for deeper support from listeners and subscribers because Congress has eliminated all their government funding. But did you know that KMUZ-FM, your local community radio station, doesn't rely on federal funding? Instead, we depend on direct support from listeners like you and local business sponsors throughout our community. It's your generous support that keeps KMUZ-FM on the air and KMUZ Theater Talk coming your way. That's why I'm asking you today for your help. Please join your friends, neighbors, and local businesses who support your community radio station and go to kmuz.org today. Click the donate button to become a sustaining donor or to make a one-time contribution that fits your budget. And thank you for supporting KMUZ Theater Talk and your commercial-free, all-volunteer, community-funded radio station. It's the end of summertime, and still quite a few productions that are happening in the out-of-doors before the Labor Day weekend finishes it up. And I'm here talking with two people from Struts Frets Theatre Company, Hannah Fawcett, who's the executive director and the director of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and her partner, Terry Kitagawa, who is the producer of this show and also the composer of original music for it. Welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So the Shakespeare shows are really popular for in the park shows throughout the summer and early fall, and this is one of the better ones, I think. It's a family show. It's made for all audiences. It has humor. It has drama. It has everything you want out of a great Shakespeare production. Tell me, Hannah, was this the reason that you chose A Midsummer Night's Dream, or did you have some personal thoughts about this show that you can share with our listeners?
You really hit the nail on the head with all the reasons people love Midsummer. But another reason for us to produce it now is that this is SNF's 10th season. And
Wow.
Midsummer Night's Dream, I know, isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is.
Midsummer is the only show that we have done one time before. So we thought this is going to be, a perfect opportunity for us revisiting a beloved title and, kind of ringing in our 10th season.
For those folks who may not have ever seen this show, can you give us a little rundown of the plot? Well, actually, there's kind of three plots in this show, isn't there?
Totally. It's so interesting that Midsummer is so beloved because it's kind of a complicated story. Like you said, three stories coming together. It all centers on a magical wood in Athens, and there are two sets of lovers who, for some reason or another, they cannot be together. So one group runs away to the woods to get married, and then the other group follows them for one reason or another, perhaps to stop them, perhaps to push them more together, or maybe just to follow the person who went to the woods before they did. And while the lovers are running away, there are a group of mischievous fairies who try to intervene in the love stories, for better or for worse. And at the same time, there are a group of characters called the Mechanicals, who are working folk of Athens who are trying to put on a play for the wedding of Theseus and Hippolyta. They are the rulers of Athens, and they're rehearsing in the forest at that time. And that band of fairies also gets involved in that story. And there's a lot of mayhem and mistaken love, and someone may or may not get turned into a donkey. So it's a lot of ridiculousness.
This takes magical realism to an extreme, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Mechanicals are some of my favorite characters, but one of the things I really like about this show is that there are kind of three different storylines, but within each storyline, there is individual conflict, there are challenges, and there are resolutions by the time the show ends. What is it that you look for when you're directing a show like this to help the audience understand through the language and the motion of the show what exactly is happening? Because, like you say, it's pretty complex.
When Terry and I were talking about what show are we going to do this summer, this is our first time being outdoors in an amphitheater style setting. So we wanted to pick something that was really going to appeal to audiences. But I think the driving force in choosing this was that we wanted something that was going to be really, really fun. It was going to have an opportunity for music, ways to draw folks in who maybe aren't necessarily Shakespeare lovers or even theater goers. So finding the fun, finding areas where we can add the music that Terry is writing, which is phenomenal, by the way. I might be a bit biased, but it is fantastic. And we also really wanted to make sure that it still had that SNF stamp, which is, I think, the thing that we always really try to strive for is retelling Shakespeare classical stories in a way that it refreshes and enlivens stories, that brings new narratives to the front of the story that maybe haven't been seen or examined either with casting or with some adaptations that we add to the story. So I think this one definitely has that signature SNF stamp in finding deeper pockets of heart in the story.
Well, if anybody has a magic touch for Shakespeare, you're one of them.
Thank you.
In my opinion, there are very few directors who really understand not just the language, but how to present Shakespeare to an audience that takes a 300-year-old play and makes it relevant to today's world. Are you setting this in a modern setting or in the setting of the time in which it was written? Or in some strange universe in between?
So this one is set right at the cusp of the 60s and 70s. So you'll hear some music, that's maybe from 1972 or perhaps from 1966. So it's in that shift, that era, right between the 60s and 70s. You'll see that in its costume design. In terms of set design, it's a classic kind of wood setting, like the forest.
Hmm.
But we also were really inspired by one of the main groups of this era, which is ABBA. So we have a little Mamma Mia theme running through as well, since the play is set in Greece. So when in Greece, why not throw to that beloved stage musical as well?
Really roll with it because it's a popular theme these days. And I love your idea of the 60s and 70s. That's my jam. Those were my college years, and they were a formative part of my life. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen on stage. Terry, as the producer of this show, what have you been working so hard on to bring this show to an outdoor setting for the first time for Struts and Frets? And how did that happen to be in Independence as opposed to, say, the outdoor stage at Western Oregon University?
I think we started out by having a conversation with the economic developer of the city of Independence about, hey, we really think that this amphitheater might be a really great space for an outdoor production. And we've been having meetings with them, I think, since the beginning of this year, where they were essentially saying, hey, we were actually really looking for a group to perform Shakespeare, to perform plays out in the amphitheater. So it kind of happened to be a happy happenstance that we got to work together with the city to produce this show. And for us ending up with this kind of musical theme, especially nodding towards ABBA and musical groups of the 70s, like Johnny Cash and Minnie Riperton and the Beatles. They were telling us about the River's Edge concert series that they do. And a lot of the bands out there that perform are cover bands. So we thought it would be a really fun way to tie in to what the city of Independence was already doing and bringing that era of music and that love of that genre to theater, hoping that we would bring in people who might not see theater as much by seeing the designs that we've been doing and the posters that we've been putting up, that they are very much a nod to that era, and hopefully we'll see them there.
Are you having live music or are you doing pre-recorded music for the show? How's that going to work out?
It is pre-recorded music, so I've been taking a lot of inspiration from specific songs that artists have written and then making kind of my own version of it, and then the actors will be singing along to that.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun. What are some of the challenges that have come with the job of producer mounting the show in an outdoor space as opposed to the Eola Hills wine cellars on Highway 99?
We've had to scale up our production elements. So this is quite the endeavor that we've been on. And I think the challenges that we have met and have now overcome is the City of Independence has a portable kind of bandshell trailer that folds out into a stage, and we're adding an extension to it. So we've built the extensions to that. We've built flats that have scenic art, and we have also really leveled up in terms of sound. We have mic'd every single actor in this show. And if you know anything about amplification and actors, it is quite expensive. So we've been writing a lot of grants and doing sponsorships with local businesses to help offset some of those costs, because this is a free to the public performance. So we're not being able to make our revenue to pay some of those things in our ticket sales. So we've been really connected to the community through foundations and local businesses to help put this show together.
Can you describe what the set and the setting for the audience is, especially at the Independence River's Edge Amphitheater?
So the amphitheater is really awesome. It's set kind of in a sunken amphitheater off of the main street as you go into Independence. So the decisions that we were making were, what's the most important location that we go to in MIDSUMMER that we can kind of carry throughout as a theme during the show? So we decided on the woods. So Alicia, our scenic artist, on our flats that are on the band shell that we'll have. There's really beautiful kind of birch style trees that are beautifully painted. And then there's a little bit of that kind of Mamma Mia-esque grease with those like little blue doors and the kind of stucco style of like painting going on. So I think we have a lot of really cool things for people to look at that we're really excited about.
Where the audience is, there are levels for seating. There are some like concrete berms and then a grass level and then another concrete berm. And you could bring lawn chairs if you wanted to, or a picnic blanket, but there is seating available. You can just come as you are. And there will be local food and beverage vendors as well. So we're pretty stoked about that. Baobab Southern Kitchen is running a special where they're creating some sort of takeaway boxes that can be purchased ahead of time, and you can bring them to the show.
Well, A Midsummer Night's Dream is one of Shakespeare's best and most popular and most loved shows. It has a long list of characters: the Athenians, the Mechanicals, the fairies, and my favorite characters are always Puck, Oberon's knavish sprite, also Tom Snout, who has a great role playing a wall in a play within the play. This is just a treat for the family to go and see. You only have 2 more nights to see this show: the Friday night performance at 6:30 p.m. and a Saturday late afternoon show at 4 o'clock. It's running at the Independence River's Edge Amphitheater in downtown Independence, Oregon, just a short hop from Dallas, from Salem. It's a great show. You should go and see it. Hannah Fawcett worked really hard as the director on this show, and her partner, Terry Kitagawa, producer and composer for this show. I'm so glad that you guys were able to join me here on KMUZ Theater Talk to cover this wonderful production.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us, Ed.
Coming up next, Executive Director Jeremy Clubb of Wandering Players Theatrical, along with show co-director Andy Bean and choreographer and technical director Nathaniel Pierce, join me to talk about auditions for their reprise of Evil Dead the Musical, happening tomorrow afternoon at the historic Grand Theater in downtown Salem. We'll be right back right after this short break. Hi, Ed Shopes here, host of KMUZ Theater Talk. I know you love hearing about shows and auditions at your favorite Mid-Valley theaters, or you wouldn't be listening to KMUZ Theater Talk right now. That's why I'm asking you to go to kmuz.org and hit the donate button to support KMUZ Theater Talk and your all-volunteer, commercial-free, nonprofit community radio station. You can make a one-time donation or become a monthly sustaining donor, whatever fits your budget, at kmuz.org. And thanks a million for supporting KMUZ FM and KMUZ Theater Talk. Evil Dead the Musical returns to Salem once again, November 6th through 23rd. This time, it's going to be at the Grand Theater in downtown Salem. And we have 3 folks here from Wandering Players Theatrics, which is the group that is creating this bloody fun musical. We have Jeremy Clubb and Andy Bean, who are co-directors of the show, and Nathaniel Pierce, who is the choreographer for this extravaganza. Welcome to KMUZ Theater Talk, you guys.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Evil Dead the Musical is extremely popular, especially here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. There's a revival in Albany, and now there's a revival in Salem. Jeremy, tell me what you learned from last year's production at Chemeketa Community College that is different from what you're going to do at the Grand Theater in downtown Salem.
So it was such a hit last year. I love that everyone was calling for us to do this again. We were able to obtain a storage unit and keep a lot of these set and costumes, things like that will make it easier so we can just add on to and focus on making it better this year. Mm-hmm. We learned a lot about the blood, and I have a lot of ideas for different toys and things that I want to implement on the stage and on the set to really enhance what was already great. But it's really going to be quite the fun shocker this year.
Are you doing anything different or planning anything different technically to help make this show shine?
Oh, yes. We've got motors and pumps and things are going to be moving that weren't moving last year. We're in a much easier space to work with lighting wise. We're going to be utilizing the balcony this time. So we'll have other things to try and compensate for, such as sightline. So while it grants us so many exciting opportunities for expanding the tech that we already have, it also brings in some new challenges that I'm really looking forward to with the sightline routing and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think it's just going to be, forgive the fun, a grand experience.
That's really great. So, Andy, what makes this show so popular among theater goers?
Oh, Ed, what doesn't really? It's got something for everybody. I think the tongue-in-cheek humor is really the best part about it. Also, my favorite thing is that I love horror, like horror movies and horror comedy, and this is just horror comedy on the stage, which you don't really see a whole lot of that outside of maybe Little Shop of Horrors or Sweeney Todd, which are two of my favorites. And so it's just another aspect for people who might like musical theater, but don't necessarily go for the happy-go-lucky shows.
Well, for those who may not be familiar with Sam Raimi's original film and the sequel that this show is based on, can you give our listeners just a little kind of recap of the story?
It's based on all of the Evil Dead movies, and it takes parts from all of them, kind of blending them together. So basically, a group of college kids and one of their younger sisters goes to an abandoned cabin in the woods for a holiday fun. And of course, an incantation gets read aloud that really shouldn't have been. And bad things start happening.
Oops.
Yes, exactly. They start getting possessed by demons and attacking each other. And so you've got the standoff, right? Our hero Ash is trying to kill the demons, but they're his friends, so there's some conflict there. But the fun about this show is that they do it while singing and dancing and being overly corny, in my opinion. So it's all about trying to last until morning or seeing if evil will overtake you.
And Jeremy, there's a splash zone in this show. What does that mean?
So there's going to be several times throughout this show where the characters are getting stabbed or shot or some kind of violence against them. And there will be bottles of fake blood and different methods of distribution. I'm not going to divulge all of them because some of them I'm hoping to be more of a surprise this year. But if you want to, you can opt out. There is a safe zone. But if you opt into the splash zone, it really gives you a chance to be enveloped into the story.
Literally.
Yes. And there will be ponchos for sale, but most people come in white. They come ready to go. And we will have Wandering Players Theatrics white shirt merchandise available this year for people who just want to get completely soaked in that blood and have some memories.
So we're recording this on Labor Day, and auditions are Saturday, September the 6th. And Nathaniel, you're the choreographer. What little surprises do you have for folks that are going to audition over the weekend?
So basically, most of the time we do just a dance call, and then I try to see pretty much how far I can make them go in regards and how their chemistry works with others. I try to make them do either things that they're maybe not used to doing in dance, because this is a different type of show. While there is a lot of dance in the show, a lot of it's more like, kind of character creature work in terms of the actors playing the demons. So I want to, I try to look to see, make sure that people are committing to that.
Basically zombie walk and stuff like that, right?
Correct. And a lot of the zombies dance too. So that's, so they got to be able to dance. They got to be able to move. And I also do all the fight choreo. So they're going to be pretty much doing everything. So it's a pretty fun experience for every actor.
Sounds like you're going to be busier than usual because although normally auditions involve reading from a book, this one is going to involve a lot of movement, it sounds like.
Yes, there will be a movement portion at the end of each of auditions. So that way, once they're done singing and acting, then I get them, and then I get to see pretty much what they're going to do. We'll do 2 routines, and then we'll do some combo work with each other, and then we'll go to callbacks. And then when we get to callbacks, I get to kind of mix it up a little bit and see how silly they can be.
Jeremy, you have a large call for this audition. You're having 3 audition sessions. You're asking folks to please sign up early because you can only handle about 25 auditioners per session. Tell us a little bit about the types of parts and the types of actors that you're looking for this show.
So we'll be casting between 9 and 10 people. We have the 5 college kids and a couple of other characters that wander on through the stage and make an appearance in the cabin. And there are a couple of what Bruce Campbell calls shemps. They're just fill-in standbys, ready to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Ash is the protagonist, college age, presenting baritone. Cheryl, little-ish sister, only by a year or so, alto. And Annie, another love interest. Shelley, another love interest, to Scott. Shelley just kind of gets picked up in a bar day before. That's another fun character. Linda is Ash's love interest, and Ed, and then Jake is the wandering guy in the woods.
I was just thinking that with Ash, one of my favorite tropes from horror film is very much featured here, and that is the chainsaw.
Yes, the chainsaw is almost a character in and of itself. And we had some wonderful props masters, Brian and Danny McDowell, who somehow found a garage sale that had the original chainsaws that were used in the movie.
Wow.
And they gutted that and put all of the pump mechanics in it and then hollowed it out so that it can be placed onto Ash's hand.
Wow, that sounds really cool. It's like Captain Hook goes mechanical. It's just wild, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen after auditions. Auditions are going to be tomorrow, which is the 6th of September. And then you have about 2 months of rehearsals before performances begin on November 6th at this historic Grand Theater in Salem. In the meantime, you guys are going to be not only rehearsing, but also raising funds for this show. Tell me a little bit about that, Andy, and how that is going to happen.
We've got a variety of events coming up on the docket. We have Shakespeare on the Rocks at the Grand, which is on September 12th. That's where you can come out and see some actors or comedians performing Shakespeare while imbibing, and hilarity ensues, as you can probably expect.
It's a wacky, fun show. It's just something that, I don't think very many people get to enjoy. We have several actors who come prepared with monologues, and they do get to choose their own monologues, but then each round there's a modifier. So they don't always know how they're going to be delivering their monologues. That being said, they also have to be perfect word for word, and they get a penalty for any time their word is off on the scripts that they submit. And it gets a little crazy. We have a lot of audience participation involved. So some of the audience gets to choose those modifiers and vote on those modifiers. So the actors are all kinds of a little bit scared, a little bit excited, but they also don't know what's going to happen. So it's a little bit like an improv night as well. So it's, laughter will ensue. One of the biggest things is that throughout the whole night, there's about 4 rounds. And so what happens is they'll slowly get wackier and wackier as we go. The audience will be able to participate, heckle a little bit. It's going to be kind of a wild, fun time.
Tickets for that will be available at wanderingplayerstheatrics.org.
We have a couple musical theater karaoke nights. This was a fundraiser that we thought of last time around, and it was a huge hit. People that can go out to karaoke, usually they can sing regular, pop songs and things, but these crowds really love the show aspect of it from some of their favorite musicals. So it's a different crowd, it's a different energy, and it's a lot of fun. So we have 2 of those right now. We've got September 27th, and then we will also have one in October, and I believe that date is still being confirmed, so I don't want to say yet, but you can see it on our wanderingplayerstheatric.org website when that's up. And we also just set an Evil Dead 2 showing at Salem Cinema. So you can come and just watch the movie. And by coming, that helps support our theater. And that is set for October 19th.
Jeremy, tell me a little bit about Wandering Players Theatrics. This is your new theatrical troupe, I understand.
I've been working in the theater community in the Willamette Valley for a little over 20 plus years at this point, and have had such wonderful experiences with just about every company that I've worked with. And last year, working with the Mid-Valley Theater Network and expanding on that spirit of collaboration just made me want to continue that with a company that is deliberately collaborative and bringing people together and working on partnerships and putting on the best shows that we can as a collective.
So less drama, more theater. Right?
Well, I mean, everything's going to have its own drama. As much as I would wish to say we keep it on the stage, that's a myth.
And Kaiser Homegrown Theater is playing a role in this production too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Kaiser Homegrown Theater has been one of our biggest supporters. Linda Baker is wonderful. They put on amazing shows. Last year, they were kind enough to be our fiscal sponsor. It includes insurance and holding the license with MTI to do the show. And they were kind enough to do that again this year. And we just look forward to continued collaboration with them. And the more that we grow, the more that we're able to offer in return as far as sending people with volunteers and skills, making shows and art together.
So, Nathaniel, your role with Wandering Players Theatrics is more than just being a choreographer. Tell me about that.
I'm also the technical director. I've been working in technical direction probably for getting close to 20 years, but I've been a technical director in Broadway and came back here during COVID and the fires. Jeremy and I actually went to school together way back when. So it was neat to be able to bring, what my education got me from over there back over here and experiencing both sides of the coast. So my job kind of is to oversee pretty much, the set build, the lighting, pretty much what we do with all of our blood and all the effects, and researching how we can do it bigger and better each year. So that's something, and also kind of just the actual process of implementing it all. As well as the artistic director for Wandering Players Theatrics, and part of my job is to show how we display ourselves as a company, how we embrace our vision, our mission, artistically plan our season with the executive director, which is Jeremy Clubb. And so together we just put on one big, beautiful show.
Well, I really applaud what you guys are doing. I've always thought that Salem is a theater nexus. The Mid-Willamette Valley offers so much talent and so many different theater companies at all different levels. But Salem has been kind of special for the types of theaters that we have here. And, bringing shows like this to our audiences is important. Jeremy, what are you looking to do besides Evil Dead the Musical in the future? What types of shows would you like to bring to the Salem audience?
Well, at this point, the world is our oyster. We may do some of the darker themed or some of the more wacky and out there shows. We have quite the hot list going right now. Rocky Horror Picture Show's on there. We've got Sweeney Todd is on there. Reefer Madness is on there. Andy, you've got a whole nother hot list going, I know. But specifically, I want to make sure that we're choosing shows that are maybe a little less known to bring that variety. Because like you said, Ed, there's just so much talent in this area, and really giving them a chance to grow and expand. And I'm really looking forward to inviting some of the other theaters to participate in more shows together. Theater 33 has been doing some amazing work. Would love to touch base and connect with them as well. for the original works that they're doing. And I know that Andy has written a musical and will be looking at doing that in the future. So really all kinds of things. We're ready to go.
We're also looking to partner with some of the circus schools that are around, as well as potentially doing, not just theater shows, but maybe dance shows and circus shows, which, we'll announce with our upcoming seasons.
Evil Dead, the musical, is coming up on November the 6th, and auditions for roles in this show happen tomorrow, September 6th. You can sign up for auditions through Do the Necronomicon's Facebook page or at wanderingplayerstheatrics.org. And I want to thank co-directors Andy Bean and Jeremy Clubb for joining me here on KMUZ Theater Talk, along with technical director and choreographer Nathaniel Pierce. Guys, I wish you the best of luck at auditions, and I'm really looking forward to your special events. Thanks so much for joining me here on KMUZ Theater Talk.
Thank you, Ed, for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time to wind up today's KMUZ Theater Talk program. Thanks a million for listening. KMUZ Theater Talk comes your way at 9 a.m. the first and third Friday of the month on KMUZ at 100.7 and 88.5 FM. Also on KMWV FM Dallas at 98.3 HD2 and streaming worldwide at kmuz.org and on the KMUZ mobile app. If you'd like to share this program with your friends and hear more behind-the-curtain interviews, open your favorite podcast app and subscribe to KMUZ Theater Talk. I'll be back September 19th with a new KMUZ Theater Talk program. Meanwhile, see the KMUZ Theater Talk Facebook page for news and updates about live theater in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Next Friday at 9 a.m. on KMUZ 100.7 and 88.5 FM, you can hear Talking About Art with Joel Zack. KMUZ Theater Talk is proud to partner with the Mid-Valley Theater Network and with Press Play Salem. And until next time, I'll see you in the front row.